I sat 24 appointments, closed 11 deals, upsold another client another 2 times. So 3 deals from one client. And I was the first closer since 2020 that closed at the old fee of $15K.
When you look at your success then, when you compare it to the other guys on the team, sounds like you're doing a bit better. What do you put that down to?
If you want something, you've got to go for it. I just always believe in squeezing the juice out of the lemons as much as possible. I saw one of your ads. What resonated with me was the Rolexes, you weren't in Dubai, you weren't driving a Lambo. It was just really natural, and I just felt like it resonated with me. I signed up within around 3 or 4 days after just speaking to people within your organisation.
The best part about sales, I think, is that you don't have to work more hours to get paid more. In fact, you can work less. If you improve your skill set, you can improve your efficiency, so you can change your conversion percentage because you've listened to more calls, you've changed your dialogue, you've updated your script, you've learnt from past errors and mistakes, and now you're better. In today's episode, we interview Nick, who was a real estate professional who was a little bit burnt out after working 12-hour days, 6 days a week, driving to and from work in Sydney, peak hour traffic. Now, as a remote closer working on a property buyer's agent team, he earns up to $2K per deal. He only works a few hours every day, and he's about to move to Bali and travel over to Colombia, and ultimately he's transformed his whole life. So in today's episode, we talk about the journey, why he made the switch, what were the challenges of making the transition, how his previous sales skills applied to remote sales, and what he had to learn. What are the differences that he had to learn to make it work as a high-performance closer, and the shifts that he made to send him to the top of the leaderboard at his new company, setting all the new records as a closer in his first month on this company. It's a really interesting interview. If you're interested in remote sales, I highly recommend sticking to the end and listening to it. It's a beauty. Nick, good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
Mate, thanks for hopping on. We're pumped up to unpack your story and a bit about the journey so far. But mate, just for people listening in, could you maybe just give an update of what you're currently doing, where you're based, just to start us off?
Mate, sounds good, man. So currently I'm in Sydney. I'm working for a buyer's agency. They help specialise in finding people investments all around Australia, high capital growth, high rental yields. So you've been doing that for the last few months. It's really starting to kick on.
And you're a closer? You're closing?
I'm a closer, yes. Correct, yep.
Closer, nice. And now we met, it may have been 6 months ago at this point, three to 6 months ago, in that ballpark?
I think it was around September, man.
Got it, September.
Yeah, I think it was around September, yeah.
We're February. This is February now, so do the math on that. Approximately 5-ish months.
Yeah.
In that ballpark. So
yeah, around that.
The purpose of these conversations is to unpack, I guess, the people's story in remote sales. I'd love to start from the start with the before and what you were doing before you jumped into this career in this space. You're in real estate. Can you walk us through that? What was happening for you then?
Mate, real estate for 16 years. The last job I was in, it was more of a BDM, so focused on sales and leasing. It was inconsistent just because leasing just really takes up your time to just focus on the sales, and sales is all about routine and consistency. So I felt like I was losing that momentum. So the commissions weren't the best. I was in project sales before that, but long hours, working Sundays, and on your days off, you're getting calls, people wanting to see you at the display suite. So you just lost your life. So I remember I was in a coffee shop at East Gardens and I saw one of your ads and I was exploring a lot of different options. But what resonated with me was the Rolexes, you weren't in Dubai, you weren't driving a Lambo, and it just wasn't all show body. It was just really natural. And I just felt like it resonated with me, and I just inquired straight away. And I think I signed up within around 3 or 4 days after just speaking to people within your organisation, man, and just got into it pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, the Lambos, no Lambos by design, so we're a Tesla family, and no Dubai. We're on the Gold Coast. Yeah. It's still hot. They're both hot, but one is, one's a slightly better ocean. That's big for us, getting in the ocean every day. So that's why we love the Gold Coast. But that's good to hear, man. And so it sounds as though you're in a real estate, you'd been in project marketing, you were then as a BDM Man, those long hours. So you're working 6 days, 7 day weeks for some weeks?
The BDM role was 6 days. The project sales role was seven days a week, days off, working, going to displays. I was driving to Gosford from Sydney, from the eastern suburbs. So it was just long trips, driving to Gosford every day, then rotating to Castle Hill, just chewing up my life. So it was good money, but I was losing out on family events. Yeah, just lost sight of me. Making good money, just wasn't happy, not relaxed. Peak hour stress. So it's just
the peak hour in
completely
Sydney.
changed. Yeah, man.
Yeah, the peak hour in Sydney, it's enough to, you don't want to be earning as much money. If you weren't earning, if you could get out of peak hour, some people would sacrifice a lot of their income just to get out of peak hour.
Yeah.
And what were you making at the time? What was the kind of income that you're on? It sounds as though the money was okay, but not ideally where you want it to be.
Money was good, around 200K. I was doing like on average. BDM role was a good wage. The comms were very low. So that's why it just wasn't consistent. If you got a sale, it was great, but it just wasn't consistent enough because managing a portfolio, you're looking after around 250 managements and you're trying to do sales at the same time. And that's leverage just because of my experience. Anyone else probably couldn't do it. But I just felt there was something more out there for me.
And so you decided you were looking at other areas, other ways to make money. Was it making money online? What was your, big vision?
Correct. Making money online, just being able to work remote, run your own hours, and sort of make the same income that I was making when I was in project sales. And I was just butting heads. It was just like, you see all these different, because the algorithms of social media just pin you to all these different self-made gurus. And the reason I made that Dubai comment was everything that was coming up was just overseas. Just, it wasn't hitting me. And like, you hear about all these fake courses and everything else, and nothing was genuine. And the moment I saw your ad, it just felt it was just really genuine. And then when I spoke to someone, I just felt like I could connect with the person. It was just a conversation. There was no upsell and, we're great, we beat our chest and everything else. It was just very fluid, straight to the point. And I just felt like I could just trust you guys more because you were Aussie. I didn't know who I was speaking to when I was inquiring about these different online courses. And man, here we are.
It says a lot as well for someone who's been quite an experienced salesperson. You know the game. When you're in sales, it doesn't matter what you're selling. You know when you're engaged in a sales process, and someone who's a professional salesperson, it says a lot when you come through my sales process and you feel like it was authentic.
Correct.
And when we're teaching sales,
that's right, man. It's I guess the one thing that stuck out to me was just making money while just being at your own schedule, and it's just something that I've been chasing for quite a while. And now that I'm in the space, and it's just like, wow, like everything just paid off. Like all the studying, all the scripts and dialogues, I've used quite a bit of it. I actually used it on it was my second pitch that I used a lot of your dialogue, and it just worked wonders actually for that close, but it was good.
Hey, talk us through it. Walk us through that one. We did speak about this offline, but yeah, walk us through, because this is a killer. This is a cracker.
Mate, so she had a bad experience with a previous buyer's agent, right? And one thing that she said to me was that she was thinking of doing it on her own. But she was telling me about her job and how busy she was, and she just didn't feel like she trusted anyone again. And I remember in your scripts, because I've got it written down, there was one section that said, you're right. Yeah, you can't do it on your own. But, if you ever went to court and, you could represent yourself. But the guarantee of getting the result you want may not be the same as using a lawyer. So I just went down that whole, and she was like, Nick, you're right. And then I just tapped into the whole point of, you mentioned you had no time. We're going to take that away from you, and we're going to get you that guarantee in using our services. And I was able to get the deal across the line. It was my second appointment. So, yeah.
And it was your first deal, first actual close as well?
Yeah. Yeah, correct.
I love that. I love reframing the thinking of the buyer, getting stuck in price mode or just being able to do it themselves, trying to shortcut paying a fee. But if you can then highlight it, make them think about it in a different way, set from a different perspective, you can completely shift not only their thinking, but also their state, how they feel, and they're much more open to it. So that's great. And what was the commission on that, man? What did you make on that deal?
So that was she paid full fee as well, because we have different payment options. So she paid up front. So after going through a bad experience where she paid up front, she paid up front again. So built a lot of trust with her in that appointment. And the fee on that was 20% of 10K.
So $2,000?
Yeah.
2K?
Yeah.
So tidy little fee for a reframe that, I'll take some of the credit, mate. So if you want to give me,
of course,
50% of that commission, I'll take it easily,
mate,
gladly.
Every deal
in perpetuity. We do get asked that. People ask that. Hey, so do you take fees on our deals, or how does it work? I'm like, no, we don't. You put the work in. You pay me for the training. I give you the training. You then go make as much money as you want. So let's talk about remote sales just in general. Had you heard about it before seeing my ad? Was it something you'd explored at all? Was it something you come across?
I didn't even know it existed.
So what were you looking at? Amazon, drop shipping? What were some of the
pretty much, man.
Options?
Pretty much. It was drop shipping, high ticket affiliate marketing. There was also digital marketing. I had no idea remote sales existed. I thought it was all office-based, even solar. I thought it was just in an office, and I know they technically still do it. It's like a hybrid, but I had no idea you could work for a company overseas and in the space of your own living room and make money. I had no idea at all.
And for you, just finding out about that, having never heard about this before, like what was the thought process going through your mind? Was it just, hey, I can actually make money from home? And that was like a bit of a mind-blowing concept to you.
Mate, pretty much that's what it was, man. It was the fact that I could make money from home, live my own lifestyle, because I know I can sell, right? But the one thing that I think I mentioned to you when I first started was I've never sold anything via a computer screen. So that was a bit daunting for me, number one. But what drew me to it was the fact that I knew I did have a skill, and I never knew I could make it from my own comfort and my own place.
And that's quite empowering, knowing that you've got the skills, you've worked to have those skills, but now you can apply them to a niche of sales that's much more lifestyle friendly than what you had been living. And you said you're commuting, you're in Sydney traffic. What a change.
It's true, man, but I know I had the skills, but it was more what I needed to learn, and what I got from you was how to resharpen that skill set. And I use the term, you've got to resharpen your blade all the time. Otherwise, you keep on swinging it. It's just going to get blunt over the time, and it's just going to go up against the shield. And that's going to be new objectives, new type of client, changing market. There's all these new different dynamic shifts that come with it. So if you're not constantly evolving as a salesperson or resharpening your skill set to evolve with the market, you're just going to come up against that shield in due time. So I'm a big believer in self-development, and I took this the same way, white belt assessment, if you could say, just starting with a white belt again and just absorbing everything that you taught me. And I think I mentioned to you, I'd never sold over Zoom, so I didn't know how to sit, how to talk, and just getting myself used to all that. It was a bit awkward at first, even just sitting in the sessions with yourself and everyone else. Found it awkward.
For sure, mate. I don't know one person that hasn't found some of the sessions we do awkward, because that's kind of how they're designed, is to get people out of their comfort zone. What were some of the... What did you find being in sales, having a career in sales and then moving into this space and then being trained? What did you have to focus on? What were the key things that you felt like, hey, I didn't know that, or hey, I have to adapt the way that I'm doing it to this space and this niche? What were some of those changes you had to make?
So I guess it was learning how to build rapport without being in physical contact with the person. Coming from real estate, it's very simple, mate. When you come down, I'll have a coffee ready for you. What do you drink? So it's just that type of physicality. They come, yep, coffee's here. Having a world-class listing presentation to having a world-class sales pitch that you really need to build within the first 7 seconds of the call. Just the introduction to have the client automatically drop their guard So even just setting up the framework, just the introduction pitch that I use in all my calls, where I introduce myself, tell them a bit about myself, and just really just speak in very simple language that just gets them really comfortable that they're not being sold. So I use that in all my calls.
It's such a change, isn't it? Because I came, as almost everyone does, who is in remote sales, having worked in some sort of customer-facing role. If it's not selling, it's some sort of client-facing role where you're communicating with people every day. But the change from being able to leverage that human-to-human connection that you get when you're in person, I feel like I was relying on that a lot in my early business and sales career, and then moving into this space where you don't have that. You don't have the luxury of, hey, let's get an instant connection because we're person to person. You need to be a lot sharper, and that was something I found was a bit more difficult, and there was some strategies I had to implement to get it right for myself. And that's something I see a lot of people go through, is that big shock where, hey, my rapport building skills, they don't apply as much here in this environment, and I've got to adapt.
It was definitely one thing that I got out of your course that taught me how to do all that. It was just setting up that framework, just being very simple, I just find your dialogue in your scripts it resonated a lot with me. It reminded me a lot of my previous sales manager with my project sales role. Just very simple, to the point, and it wasn't so salesy. It was just very, I use "Hey man." I think I mentioned it. I asked you about how you use "man" a lot in your sales.
That's
calls.
Right. I use it on my calls.
It assumes trust. Yeah, it assumes trust, and you're right. And I use it all the time, and 100%. I just find an immediate connection. Yeah, say, "Hey man, how are you?" And it's just very easy.
You assume trust. You assume
think you could be
rapport.
Yeah.
A lot of people too professional, and when people come across as professional, will immediately the prospect will think, well, salesperson. So it can scream salesperson, and also it doesn't always show a lack of confidence. It doesn't necessarily show a lack of confidence, but it can show. But on the flip side, when you're just very confident, you're just like, hey man, how you doing? Let's have a chat. Let's talk about these problems. Let's see if we can solve them. It's just, the energy is so different. It feels like, hey, I'm in the presence of an operator here. So that's interesting. And you moved really quickly. So we get people that come through in our environment. They're on different timelines. Everyone's on different timelines, and you were hustling. So you were attending every single session. Sometimes at the coffee shop. I remember the first role play we did. You were at the coffee shop, and I took everyone through a warm up session, and that includes a bit of jogging on the spot, a few crazy vocal,
putting a pen in your mouth,
putting a pen in your mouth, and just all of the rest. So it's talking tongue twisters with a pen in your mouth. So, mate, but you went hard. You focused on doubling down and getting through this because you had a goal. You wanted to be transitioned, and you made that happen really quickly. And I know that you made that. Yeah, you got your first offer within a few months of starting. And then all of a sudden you've got momentum. So you maybe talk us through your first transition into closing. What was the first offer? I know you crushed it in your first month. It was possibly a record from our records in terms of your earnings and just what you were able to achieve in your first month. Can you maybe walk us through that?
Mate, it was an interesting month because I started in December, and I got the offer, and I was meant to start in first week of January. And when they called me middle of December, they're like, man, we're a few guys down. One guy's had to go in for surgery. Another one's gone on leave. I know you're meant to start in around 3 weeks' time, but can you start this week? And I just said, yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
As you would.
So he said, and he just said, look, man, I'm going to send you some videos. Just have a go at it. And look, I'm not expecting anything, but just even if you can just take calls and we could work on follow-ups later. I was like, yeah, no worries. So I was literally balancing my full-time role. I had my laptop with me. I went and bought a chair from Kmart, and I was looking after a commercial office that was empty. It had no power. And I was like, shit, where do I go to set up? So they were giving me appointments on my lunch break and after hours. So I'm driving to my appointments going to this office that's empty with no power, putting a fake screen on behind me, and I'm just doing appointments. So that month I sat 8 appointments and I closed 5 deals. So no training, just 1.5 days of just watching their videos. They had a bit of training. It just had frameworks, and they sent me some closing methods, some screenshots that they had. It was a PDF folder of their program in the company. And I had no dialogue, nothing. I just watched a few of their videos, used a bit of what they said, just things that stuck in my head. But I was using a lot of your script, and I was just literally just going off cuff, and I just went with the call. So it was a combination of a lot of things. But and I ended up closing I did 8 appointments, and I closed 5 deals in December. And January was an amazing month. I sat 24 appointments. I closed 11 deals. Then I upsold another client another 2 times. So 3 deals from one client. And I was the first first closer since 2020 that closed at their old fee of $15K. So now I'm working on their new fee structure of $15K. I'm the only sales rep that's doing it at the old fees because I'm the only one that's been able to close it. So
when you look at your success then, when you compare it to the other guys on the team, sounds like you're doing a bit better. You're new kid on the block. What do you put that down to?
If you want something, you've got to go for it, right? So in life, I just always believe in squeezing the juice out of the lemons as much as possible. So if I'm investing in a course, I'm going to squeeze the life out of it so I can get everything absolutely out of it that I believe that I can. That may be 3 or 4 or 5 things. It's like reading a book. You've got to squeeze everything out of that book and then apply it to your life that you feel that you need to. And it's just all about belief in yourself, being consistent and disciplined, and just applying yourself. You can have anyone come into your program, and if they don't apply to what you're teaching, they're not going to get anything out of it, right? So they've got to apply everything. They've got to be dedicated to it. They've got to be consistent at it. They've got to want it as much as fucking breathing. So I just quoted Eric Thomas there, but I believe in that. So you've got to want it, more importantly.
Are you setting goals? You focus on vision, goals. What are the goals that you've got right now for the year 2025?
So I'm working on a second contract. I think when I say to you, my goal is to break into the American market. So I want to work 2 roles. So I am working on a contract with an American company. I had a role play with them on Saturday morning. So I had 3 sales directors. 2 were taking notes down, and I was doing role play with the 3rd sales director. So my goal is now to have 2 incomes and just save with one of the roles, and with the other income that's coming in, I just want to contribute to building and just get into the construction market. So, and just travel. My partner's from Colombia, so we want to live in Bali for a couple of months before we go back to Colombia. So, mate, if I can live anywhere in the world and make the money that I want to make, that's the dream.
So am I right in saying your first sort of 45 days in the role, you earned in excess of 20K more so?
Yeah.
So, so first month in the box, so you've got your December, then Jan. So Jan, it sounds like you're 22-ish K, and then you've got your sort of your December, if you had 5 is 10. So 30K first month and a half in sales or in remote sales is wild. And so it's quite inspiring for anyone listening and wanting to sort of move into this space. No, it's also not typical. It's not something that we see a lot. So Nick, you're a bit of an outlier. You're someone who you already had a fairly strong skill set, but moving into this space, you still had a lot to learn, and then you still have to, as you said, you have to be hungry enough to apply it and go out and work. And now you're investing time in getting multiple roles, which is another, I think, a real benefit of being a contractor. You're a subcontractor. You're almost like a business. You're presenting yourself out there to the marketplace as a finely tuned asset who can come in, learn someone's product, communicate the value better than they can, and sell it at a high percentage. And if you can take on multiple offers and sell multiple products on behalf of multiple business owners and do that within the allotted time that you've got, well, you're just going to ramp your income.
That's the goal, man. That's all I focus on. Just consistency in the income that I'm earning. And to be able to, I've just always been fascinated with the American market. So to be able to now realize that I can have 2 full-time incomes and to be earned and to keep it consistent and just focus on, okay, that's what I achieved in January. This is how many appointments I had to do. This is the success rate that I had to have with that. And just use that as a guide to my metrics to focus on what I need and what my target is for the end of the year.
Yeah, the best part about sales, I think, is that you don't have to work more hours to get paid more. In fact, you can work less. Often people do work less, but if you improve your skill set, you can improve your efficiency, so you can change your conversion percentage because you've listened to more calls, you've changed your dialogue, you've updated your script, you've learnt from past errors and mistakes, and now you're better. And the better you show up to each call, the more success you'll have. And you don't necessarily need to work more to earn more.
That's right. And that's what February's been about, because from those 24 appointments, I actually had more, but I unqualified a lot of those because I've got the power in the role where at the end of the call, I can just judge whether I deem that appointment to be qualified. So now I've got more time to be able to say, okay, I listened to the recording of my setter's appointment before, and I've got the authority to say, look, I don't think that appointment's qualified. I'm not sitting it. So I've just got that authority to do that. And I've shortened my appointment schedule. So I was having a lot of appointments that were done that I had to unqualify at the end. So now I'm just a lot more strict with my appointment setting. It just frees up my day a bit more to just do things that I want to do. Go to the gym again.
What are you doing? What are the hobbies, mate? Well, besides planning a trip around the world to Colombia, Bali, getting out there, what else are you doing with your time? How many hours a week are you working, by the way, and then what are you doing with your spare time?
Mate, so I'll do, like February now, I'm averaging 1 or 2 appointments a day. So they'll go for at least an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, depending on how many questions the client may have. But mate, I just love to focus on just keeping healthy, just eating clean, doing jiu-jitsu where I can, and just dealing with a few injuries.
So physical or objection jiu-jitsu, as we say?
Bit of both.
Bit of both, yeah. So you're doing 2 objection jiu-jitsu, and then you're going on the mat and actually doing real jiu-jitsu.
That's it, man. And just gym in the morning. I'm still getting up the same time. That's just about me being disciplined. So I'm up at 4 a.m. So I just really just wind into the day, and I just listen to sales calls just to sort of rev myself up and just get myself started.
Love it. When are you planning to move to Bali or head overseas?
I'd say November, because we want to be in Colombia December, and we want to spend all the Christmas there. They start celebrating from around the 9th. So spend Colombia December, January, and maybe Bali in November.
Love it, love it. Well, I guess to sort of look towards the remote sales, or to sort of finish up things here, like how would you say remote sales, you didn't know about it in September, you found out about it, now you're in it. How would you say this transition has changed your life or impacted your life? It
just opened up so many doors that I didn't think existed. I'd never used LinkedIn before. I'd never known how to use it. And there's just opportunity all around the world with it, right? So you could just meet someone on LinkedIn, create a conversation with someone and start the conversation. And once you start building up your experience and your value, you can do whatever you want with it. You can go wherever you want and make money if you want. My goal is to do this consistently for at least 2 to 3, 4 years, and then eventually maybe open up a consultancy business. Or I think you've got a friend that lives in Colombia and he's a vice president of a mental health line. Is that right?
Yeah, it's quit alcohol. So they help high-flying CEOs quit alcohol. So they're based in the States. He lives in Colombia, but most of the team sort of around Colombia. But yeah, he's earning $75K a month USD.
Yep.
He's an Aussie, Melbourne guy who's now in Colombia and crushing it. So he's built a team. He's taken them from, pretty low numbers to insane numbers, big daddy numbers. Yeah. And he's done a great job. And that's a progression that you can have in in any career you get progression, but remote sales is no exception to that. You can start at the start right at the bottom, which, you're an outbound caller, right through to a sales leader, a sales team lead, a sales manager, head of growth, VP of sales. So, if you're partnering with the right companies, the sky is the limit.
Correct. That's exactly right, man. And, sales is all about controlling your own destiny. So, and that's why I said to you earlier, what motivates me, it's just, consistency. You've got to squeeze the life out of it. You've got to squeeze the skill set and, just let the juice flow and just go in with energy that you're going to dominate, that every call's a close. And if it's not, you're going to make sure that the next time you speak to them, you close them. So I believe that you've just got to go in with that mindset that you're elite and you've got an elite skill set behind you and you are the best at what you do. You work harder than everyone else. And I just apply that mindset to everything that I do.
Well, the results are showing, mate. You've taken the closing world by storm, so to speak. You've knew nothing about it. Now you are, I'd say, a top 5% earner in the space. There's not a lot of closes as many people sort of suggest, or many people would be saying that they're earning a lot of cash. But when you're earning 30 grand your first sort of month or so in the space, and you're on the trajectory to earn even more and start to move overseas, you are performing at a really high level in a really short space of time. So, man, I commend you for that. Your work ethic is second to none, and obviously you're putting in the work, you're putting in the effort, you're networking, and the results are showing, mate. So, congratulations to you.
Thank you, man. No, thank you, man. Like I said, man, I didn't know about any of this. Literally, I was that same coffee shop where I had a pen in my mouth is the same coffee shop where I was on my Instagram saying, what's this, man? And I think, what it actually was? It was the screenshot. When you've got a photo where you're calling, and I think it says
the phone, screenshot of the phone.
That's right. I saw that. Then I clicked on your bio, and then I watched a few videos of you. That's what got me.
There it is. Well, that ad did well. So you're one of many who clicked on that ad. So we'll have to keep using that one. Final, I guess, advice for people who might have been in the same position as you, looking to make a switch. What advice do you have for anyone who's wanting to get into remote sales?
If you want to create your own life and your own journey, your own destiny, and you feel like you've hit a roadblock, sales can give you the life that you want. But it's not going to come to you. You've got to go for it. You've got to apply yourself to it. It's like go to the gym. You hire a personal trainer. They can give you all the programs, all the eating schedules, but if you go and start eating cheeseburgers, it's just not going to happen. So it's the same thing with sales. You can learn all the scripts. You can watch all the videos on YouTube about motivation and staying hungry and disciplined. And I'm going to learn this. Yep, I've got this script. I'm going to be number one. But if you don't go for it, you're just not going to get it. But if you do go for it and you apply yourself, the sky's the limit. It's up to you how much you want to earn. That's my message. So anyone that's doing the course, feeling down that, this isn't working, keep on going. It's a grind. You're going to have shit weeks. You're going to have shit months. 16 years of sales, real estate, cold calling. I've experienced lows, ups. And I'm sure I'm going to come to a point where I might have a dip. But I know my mindset is going to be ready for that to shoot back up.
You're ready for it, mate. You're hardened for it. And yeah, as we said, sky's the limit. You're on a great trajectory now. If this is just the start, then I can't imagine where you're going to be in the next 5 years.
Thanks, man.
See you soon, Nick Ristevski. Thanks for coming on.
Take care. See you, mate.